Did you know that there are many phrasal verbs that you can use in an academic context to help you sound more advanced, to help you sound more professional? And that's what we'll discuss today. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, I'm going to quiz you to see how well you know the 10 most common academic phrasal verbs. Now, don't worry if this test is difficult because after, I'm going to explain each phrasal verb in detail. And then at the end, I'll quiz you again so you can see how much you've learned and improved from the beginning of the lesson to the end of the lesson. So let's start your quiz now. Question 1. I recommend providing a few more examples to your point. Now, I'll only give you 3 seconds to answer, which is not a lot of time. So feel free to hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready to see the answer, hit play. Flesh out. Question 2. Thankfully, the new requirements don't our research. Bear on. Question 3. Have you your recommendations to the head of the department? Put forth. Question 4. If you need help, the study, I have an experienced graduate student. Carrying out. Question 5. I hope our recommendations, positive change. Bring about. Question 6. These statistics really, our hypothesis. Back up. Question 7. We're conducting a new study to the results of our last study. Build on. Question 8. I'm surprised your thesis only the government's role. I expected to read more about it. Touched on. Question 9. The majority of the presentation, our recent findings. Dwells on. And finally, question 10. It's obvious the presenter, her experience as a medical doctor. Drew on. So how'd you do with that quiz? Was it difficult? Don't worry if it was, because now I'm going to explain each phrasal verb in detail and you're going to feel very comfortable with them. Let's start that now. To put forth. This is used when you present or propose an idea, argument, or theory for consideration. For example, the scholar put forth an intriguing hypothesis regarding cultural evolution. In this case, when you say she put forth this hypothesis, it means she presented it, she proposed it, and it suggests there's going to be consideration. Is this a good hypothesis? Is this a bad hypothesis? And why? So they'll discuss it and decide. Let's talk about the verb conjugation of the verb to put forth. So the phrasal verb is to put forth, but with phrasal verbs, you only conjugate the verb. Here, the verb is put. The base form is put. The past simple is yesterday, she put forth a hypothesis. And the past participle is put. She's already put forth. She has put forth. So notice those 3 conjugations are put. It's the time reference or the context of the sentence that will make it obvious if it is the base verb, the past simple, or the present perfect. To bring about. This is used to say that something causes or initiates a change, a result, or an outcome. For example, The study aims to bring about a shift in public perception of environmental issues. So in this case, they want to bring about a shift in public perception. So they want to initiate a change in the public perception. To draw on. This is when you use or refer to existing knowledge or sources. For example, the author drew on previous studies to support the proposed hypothesis. So if the author drew on the previous studies, it means the author used the information in those previous studies or referred to the information in those previous studies. So simply use the information. And notice here, it's an irregular verb. The author drew on. That's the past simple. So the author draws on, that's the present simple. The author drew on, that's the past simple. And the author has drawn on, that's the present perfect. So draw, drew, drawn. To flesh out. This is to fully develop an idea, and you do that by providing more information, details, or explanations. For example, the next chapter of the thesis will flesh out the theoretical framework. If I read this, then I know that the next chapter will provide more information about the theoretical framework. I'll know that right now I don't really know what the theoretical framework is, but that's okay because the next chapter will flesh it out. In the next chapter, I'll have a lot more information. Perhaps there'll be some examples, there'll be better descriptions. So in the next chapter, all my questions about the theoretical framework will be answered because the author is going to flesh it out. To bear on. This means to be relevant or applicable to a situation or an argument. For example, these findings bear on the ongoing debate on educational policies. So if these findings bear on the ongoing debate, it means that the findings are relevant to the ongoing debate, or that you can apply these findings to the ongoing debate. So basically, they're useful. It's useful information to have, to bear on. This is also an irregular verb. So the base verb is bear. The past simple is bore. The findings bore on the ongoing debate. And the past participle is borne. The findings have borne on the ongoing debate. To back up. This is when you provide evidence, support, or validation for a claim or argument. For example, the statistical data backs up the researchers' assertions about demographic trends. So here, if the data backs up the researchers' assertions, it means the data supports what the researcher said or thought. It supports it. And generally, if you're making a claim, it's always useful to have the data, the evidence, or the information to back that claim up, to support that claim. To build on. This is when you develop or expand on existing theories, ideas, or concepts. For example, the new theory builds on previous research in cognitive psychology. So if this new theory builds on previous research, it means that the new theory expands this previous research. So it provides more information or perhaps new information, but on the same topic as before, cognitive psychology. To carry out. This simply means to do or to complete something. For example, the research team carried out a study involving 100 participants. This sounds more advanced than simply saying the research team completed a study. They carried out a study. It means the same thing, but by saying carried out, you sound more advanced. To touch on. This means to briefly mention a topic or an idea without going into the details. For example, my presentation will touch on the key findings of our recent study. So you can expect that this presentation will briefly discuss the findings of the recent study, but it will not go into the details. So it won't flesh it out. It won't flesh out the recent findings. It will only touch on them. So it will mention them briefly, or it will mention what the finding is, but it won't explain how that finding was developed or the implications of that finding or what they're going to do next because of that finding. It will only touch on it. To dwell on. This is to focus extensively on a specific topic or idea or aspect. For example, the author does not dwell on the importance of environmental regulation. So this means that the author doesn't focus extensively on environmental regulation or the importance of environmental regulation. So it's possible that the author touches on the importance of environmental regulation, mentions it briefly, but it's not something that is discussed in detail. Now that you're more comfortable with these academic phrasal verbs, how about we do that same quiz again? And I promise your score will be a lot higher this time. Here are the questions. Hit pause, take as much time as you need, and when you're ready, hit play to see the answers. Here are the answers. Hit pause, compare your answers to mine, and when you're ready, hit play. So how'd you do? I'm sure your score was a lot higher, right? So make sure you share both of your scores in the comments. And do you want me to create more lessons teaching you academic vocabulary? If you do, then put academic in the comments below. Put academic in the comments below, and I'll keep making lessons just like this. And of course, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And you can keep learning advanced vocabulary with this lesson right now.